Kia ora. John Winter's Supermarket Sleuth talking to you once again from Auckland. Now, I haven't been on for a couple of weeks. We've had technical problems, but those have all been sorted out now. So what am I talking about this week? The British food and drink market shrinks. Total UK food and drink sales fell by 12% during 2020, according to new data, while grocery retail share grew to 81% from 64% the year before. Figures from IGD's Eating In versus Dining Out 2021 report also show the eating out sector shrank by more than 50% due to restaurants and pubs being closed for much of the year. The report also looks at the many factors expected to shape the UK food and drink market in 2021. These include consumer behaviour, government support, supply chain resilience, the lasting impact of the economy and labour market, and EU exit, or Brexit as it's been better known. In the short term, while eating out remains largely closed, IGD highlighted that the grocery retail market will need to continue to deliver for food and drink shoppers that have few alternatives. This will lead to high levels of demand for online. Turning to food promotions, following government confirmation last month that promotions such as multi-buys and BOGOS, which is buy one get one free, on food and drink products high in fat, salt or sugar, known as HFSS, will be restricted from April 2022. A new survey shows a study by Britain Thinks, commissioned by the Food and Drink Federation FDF, found 73% of in-store shoppers usually or always buy products on promotion when shopping, with a quarter of respondents suggesting that if there were no promotions, they would be worried about the affordability of their shopping. So promotions give people confidence. Nearly two-thirds of those surveyed also agreed that promotions are an important way to save money on food and drink, with nearly three-quarters wanting promotions to continue, finding them useful for saving money, stocking up on food for the future, and trying new products. Commenting on the findings, the FDF's Chief Scientific Officer Kate Halliwell said, and these are her quotes, "There's evidence that during a recession, many people increasingly rely on promotions to help them save money. It's predicted that the average shopping basket may increase by £600 a year without promotions in retail." And close her quotes. The FDF urged the government to take the findings into account as they press on with their plans to restrict retail promotions and think about the impact this may have on the shopping basket and for shoppers during an incredibly difficult economic time. Now we turn to food waste in the UK, which probably applies to other countries too. Too Good To Go, the anti-food waste company, has partnered with some of Britain's leading brands to tackle date label confusion and help eliminate food waste. The Look, Smell, Taste, Don't Waste campaign, which just launched, already has 25 brands signed up and is looking for others to follow. The campaign will see brands switching products from use by to best before labels where appropriate, as well as giving on-pack reminders to consumers to use their senses to decide whether to eat food past its best before. Now, best before, really, I've always felt has been an anomaly. Used by is the date you need to know, because that means don't consume it after this, drink it or eat it, get rid of it. But best before just means the manufacturers consider that the product they've made is actually better before this date. But they employ tasters, the manufacturers, and the tasters have a very fine and sensitive taste buds, and they can detect the differences as the product ages, whereas you and I, the ordinary man in the street or woman in the street, I would really say that we're unlikely to taste difference as it's getting a bit older than it used to be. So best before really should be dropped, because a lot of people think best before, oh, we've got to the best before date or it's past it, then we'll have to throw it away. Not necessary at all. Just concentrate on the use by date. Forget about the other one. Now, new research conducted by Too Good To Go suggests that in the UK 45% of adults are confused about the true meaning of best before labels on foods. That's 1 in 2 people. When it comes to checking whether food is good to eat or not, over 1/3 of people do not use their senses to make a decision about food that's past its best before. This is leading to food being thrown away unnecessarily. Brands that have signed up to join the Look, Smell, Taste, Don't Waste campaign, I like that, it rolls off the tongue quite well, include Arla, which is a Cravendale brand, Bell Group with their Laughing Cow brand, Danone with the Danone brand, Actimel, Activia, Oikos, Light and Free, ME UK with its Onken and Belief brands, Nestle and Savencia with its Saint Auger cream. Product lines from these brands will include a new pictogram created by Too Good To Go to remind consumers to trust their senses instead of just relying on the best before date labels. Good on you. I think that's a good move, and hopefully it'll save a lot of waste. Not only saving waste, but it'll also save people money, because if you're going to throw away something away, you'll need to replace it. So this is a good move. Now let's turn to the cost of our supermarket shopping, and online in particular. Asda's the cheapest online supermarket for the 9 months in a row, despite a significant height in its prices and those of its rivals, says price tracking website Alerta. It compares the prices of 42 items outlined in the government's Consumer Price Index shopping basket. Each of the supermarkets in the study saw average basket costs increase in January compared with a month earlier. The difference ranged from between 22p and £9.38. This could be partly because promotions used by retailers to tempt shoppers to their stores during the all-important festive period came to an end. Taking average basket costs over the 4-week period of January, Asda were top at £109.20, £7.22 higher than December. Also close behind were Iceland, Morrison's, Tesco and Sainsbury's, which had and Sainsbury's had the smallest difference of only 22p. Then came a big jump to the last two, Ocado and Waitrose, both £8 more expensive than Sainsbury's. Now let's take a look at the price difference between value and standard own label products. Tesco is said to be looking at discontinuing or reworking some of its own label products. Why? Because an investigation by the BBC's One's Morning Live show, that's a funny title, suggested some of the standard lines are exactly the same as the value alternative. Tesco's Creamfields and Growers Harvest ranges are marketed as distinct from its mid-range own label products and sold at lower prices. A report by The Telegraph pointed to the investigation by which found variants of several own label products were made in the same factories, with their ingredients and nutritional value appearing to be identical. The only differences were the branding and cost to the consumer. Examples included standard and value variants of halloumi and light cheddar cheese products, which Tesco's now said to be looking at either reformulating or discontinuing. Tesco said its Growers Harvest carrots were different from the standard own brand range, as the carrots used are of a slightly lower grade. Yeah, quite. Okay, well, I don't think people are going to worry. They'll look at the carrot. If the carrot looks all right and is not soft, then they're going to buy it, so I don't buy that. Oh, sorry, that was an awful pun. The Telegraph report also points to examples in Asda, where products in its value-oriented smart price range have the same nutritional contents and list of ingredients as the mid-range equivalents. Asda is quoted as saying the products are made in the same factory, but are all of different grades with differences in colour, taste or size. Yeah, quite. Oh, I quite understand that. We have the same situation in New Zealand by a factory that makes a well-known brand of breakfast cereal. And they make a lot of private label equivalents. Unless you're a food taster by occupation, as I've mentioned before, I doubt you'll be able to tell the difference in a blind tasting. So yes, I admit that when I go in the store, I don't buy the brand, the national brand, I buy the store brand equivalent, and I save myself a couple of dollars, and it all makes a difference as you go around the store. And of course nowadays people are not embarrassed about buying own label products like they used to. Once upon a time people wouldn't be seen with own label products in their trolleys because their neighbours might see and think, oh, they're poor, they can't afford the real thing. But the store equivalents these days have got so good that in fact there's no loss in taste, no loss in anything, except of course you've got more money in your pocket. And now we go from an investigation to a study. Now, what is the difference between those two? Perhaps it's just smoke and mirrors. A study by consumer watchdog Which has found Sainsbury's local and Tesco Express customers are paying up to £320 and £280 respectively more a year than those who shop at larger stores for the same things. Now we all know prices can be higher in convenience stores. That's nothing new. That's why it's a convenience store. It's convenient to you and it's convenient to the owner to charge you more. But Which has raised the issue as, due to COVID-19, many people are currently avoiding large supermarkets in favour of shopping in local convenience stores. More than half of Which members surveyed using convenience stores say cost was one of their biggest bugbears. Yes. The study analysed the average weekly price of 48 own label and branded groceries for 5 months last year across Sainsbury's and Tesco's convenience stores and compared it with the cost of the same things in their supermarket outlets. What did it find? Shoppers could be paying £71.26 a week at a Sainsbury's local, an average of £6.18 more compared to its supermarkets. This equates to C-store customers paying 9.5% more a year, £322, than they would in a regular Sainsbury's supermarket. At Tesco Express, customers could be paying £69.12 a week for the basket of goods, a hike of £5.37. Over a year, this would make it 8.4%, that's £279, more expensive to shop in Tesco convenience stores compared to its larger supermarkets. At Sainsbury's, the products with the biggest price difference were a 400-gram can of Napolina chopped tomatoes. It was a third more expensive at Sainsbury's local, and a 250-gram packet of, my favourite, McVitie's ginger nut biscuits was just over a quarter pricier at a Sainsbury's local store compared to a larger supermarket. A number of Tesco own label products were a quarter more expensive in express stores than in supermarkets. So if you have the choice of shopping nearer home and paying a little more, or driving further than your local e-store to bag a cheaper price, what are you going to do? Well, if you look at COVID at the moment and thinking about bigger stores and smaller stores, the convenience stores are smaller, so you're closer together with people. The supermarkets are larger, more people in there, but there's more space. So that's another consideration. Finally, from the UK, 2 supplier stories. There will be many very happy to know that Mondelez International is to reinvest £15 million, ramping production at its Bourneville site, the historic home of Cadbury. The move comes as the firm returns some of its manufacturing from continental Europe to the UK. I guess that the supply problems crossing the border from the EU to the UK is driving this. The investment will include £11 million to create a new line for Cadbury Dairy Milk tablets, as the company consolidates the majority of its tablet production at the site. The line will enable 125 million more of its large sharing bars to be made at Bourneville each year, with more plus capacity for future growth. Now, tablets I'm picking means the blocks, chocolate blocks, and we call them chocolate blocks in this country, but in New Zealand, but obviously in the UK they're tablets, nothing to do with the tablets you get from the chemist. Mondelez is also planning to invest a further £4 million at the site to increase its chocolate making capacity to make sure it can meet current and future demand. Some production will stay overseas, and the firm said the investment wouldn't lead to the creation of any new jobs at the Bourneville factory, which opened in 1879. In fact, the UK used to have two icon chocolate confectionery brands made in Britain, Cadbury of course, and Rowntree. But Rowntree was bought decades ago by Nestlé, so it's good to know that Cadbury will be returning home, so to speak, even though it's not owned by Cadbury anymore. Pity it isn't the same thing in New Zealand. It stopped manufacture here in favour of centering it all in Australia. A great shame on you, Cadbury. Now, from chocolate to tea. And of course, the UK is a great tea drinking nation, and we're a pretty good tea drinking nation in New Zealand, probably from our a lot of people living here used to live in the UK, but decided that coming here was a better prospect. And I have to say, at the moment, we're very happy we did. Now, since becoming a UK-based company, Unilever has been planning some changes. The first to come into focus has been tea. After reporting mixed year-end results and outlining its future plans, it said a stock market flotation is the most likely outcome for its tea business. In July last year, the company reported the results of a strategic review of its €3 billion a year tea business, which makes brands such as Lipton, Brooke Bond, Pukka and PG Tips. I always thought PG Tips was called Brooke Bond PG Tips, but maybe they've dropped the Brooke Bond name from it. It decided to keep its operations in India and Indonesia, where Lipton tea is made for the Australasian markets, and partnership interests in ready-to-drink tea joint ventures. But the rest of the tea business, which controls the main retail brands, is to become an independent entity. The operations being hived off generated revenues of €2 billion in 2019. Unilever's CEO Alan Jope said the group had started separating offices, manufacturing lines and people within its tea business, a process it expects to finish by the end of this year. He said it was highly likely that the separated, those are his words, that the separated tea business would then be listed on the stock exchange, although he didn't rule out an outright sale, with a final decision being made at the end of the split process. Interesting. Well, that's all for this week. Don't forget you can catch me on Magic Talk, radio station in New Zealand, on a Saturday morning at 10:45 on a program called Weekend Life. But if that's difficult for you, then just go to Facebook to my Supermarket Sleuth page, and a recording of it will be up sometime during the weekend. And I'm looking at the fruit problems we've had this year for 3 good reasons. And I'll reveal all that on Saturday morning, and then you can listen to it whenever you like on my Facebook page, Supermarket Sleuth. And while I think about it, I also have a checkout Facebook page, which is the book I wrote in 2013, and I've been reading it gradually over the course of time because there's no more copies left, and I've attempted to update it at the same time. So that's all for this week, and I'll be back again this time next week, hopefully, if we don't have any more technical problems. So thanks for listening and seeing me too, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.